There's nothing here for him at middleweight. He's lost 3 in a row. Nothing against him. He's looked great. The career path is very simple, and there is no second option. That is what you do. 205, win a favorable matchup, fight Alex Pereira in your rubber match at 205 for the belt.
Fair game.
All right, Jesse on Fire, welcome back. So we're going to talk about the Israel Adesanya knockout, Imavov's future. We're going to talk about Bryce Mitchell as well, because he put out a hostage video apology. Generally speaking, you can always know that that's the case if someone, speaks in long form about something for 10 straight minutes and kind of goes through. You clearly are. It's not like a flippant comment. They're going through information that they have researched on their own. I'm not saying that the ideas are always valid, but certainly it represents something that they do believe. So I always think, like, when they come out and apologize, like 2 days later, you're like, that's how you know it's a forced apology, right? It's because, like, well, he obviously believes that. You're going to convince him, in 48 hours that all of that stuff is just not accurate. So, again, you say a thing like that, there are going to be repercussions. Luckily, he works for the UFC, and it looks like the only repercussions are him apologizing. Okay, and I'll talk about what happened behind the scenes there. I reached out. Let me see if he responded, because I asked. He said he was going to come on. No, he hasn't looked yet. But yeah, he and I talked the other day right after this happened. He's going to come on the show, but would have been ideal for that to have been right now, given that he just dropped this apology. But we'll get Bryce on maybe this week. So that is what we're going to do, and let's just jump right into it. All right, so here is Israel Adesanya, and this is after his knockout loss, which is his third loss in a row. It's crazy how these guys who are like long-term champions, they just never seem to get it back, Like, obviously he lost the belt, won it back, but that was, he lost in a fight that he had been winning for 4.5 rounds to a rival, and he came back and knocked him out after that. That wasn't like really, I don't know, like a cinching of like losing the belt. But when he lost it to Sean Strickland in a fight where it did appear like his spirit had been broken by the end of that fight, I don't know. I can't think of an example of someone who does that and then comes back, right? Because, and Izzy's looked great in both these last 2 fights. He looked great against Dricus. He looked great in this fight, and then he gets caught, So anyway, let's listen to what he said, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more.
Well, Israel, you and I were just saying off camera, the thrill and agony of the fight game. I can't imagine what you must be feeling right now, but walk me through the emotions if you can.
Disappointed, yeah. I hate, disappointing my fans, my team. My team feel proud of me because of the work I put into this. But, yeah, it's just the thrill and agony.
There's so much that we don't get to see. We don't get to see the ins and outs of a 16-week camp. We don't get to see the hard work. Some of us kind of know what goes into it, but if you wish the world could know one thing about this camp, this performance, the outcome, what would it be?
I don't think it's for them to know. You have to really be in it to know. It's only a privileged few will ever get to this point and understand, to be able to feel something so great, but also feel something so deep. And so, and again, it's a lovely game, but it's a stupid game at the same time.
Dude, I'll tell you this. That is a shirt that I could not pull off, I've always thought most styles, if I threw it on, like, I could pull it off. I can't pull that off. But Izzy's pulling it off. Like, that's such a great shirt for him. He's got great style. He's got great style that matches his personality. But another thing is that shirt looks real expensive, And my point in bringing that up is, everybody's seen Rocky 3, right? Who has not seen Rocky 3? If you haven't, you're either 7 years old or you have no excuse, okay? Anybody who watches my channel should have seen Rocky 3. You should remedy that, today if you haven't, and then make sure you watch Rocky 4. Although if you haven't seen Rocky 4, that's really bizarre. Anyway, but I think even like the Klitschko brothers probably rooted for Rocky at the end of Rocky 4, even though they are the real life version of Ivan Drago, except there was 2 of them. Anyway, but like, the plot of Rocky 3, if you haven't seen it, is Rocky now. He's like, the first one, he's this, he's a rundown, middle road boxer who's just like boxing to pay the bills. You know, he's like, I think he's got an even record of wins and losses. And then he gets a title shot. And then in the second one is when he gets his rematch. And at the end of the day, like both those movies are huge underdog stories for him where he's broke, you know. And in Rocky 3, he is the opposite of that. He's rich. He's the boxing version of Conor McGregor. And it shows him get soft. And then it shows Clover Lang, whatever. Mr. T come in and whip that fucking ass. And then he has to, you know, take himself back to his roots and fight like when he was broke. He actually goes broke, if I remember correctly. Either way, there is always going to be truth in the fact that if a fighter is very comfortable with a ton of money and they've been on top for a very long time, it seems to take away that edge. Like there are so few people who get to that point and retain the same level of discipline, the same level of competitiveness. Like you're talking Floyd Mayweather is one of the, like Floyd Mayweather. I mean, I don't know who else you could even think of. Like Habib, he retired pretty soon after he was balling. I don't know. I mean, Volkanovski did that for a very long time. Jose Aldo did that for a very long time. Although I don't know how much. I don't really know how much money Jose Aldo was making back then. You know. Because what I'm really talking about is guys who get rich and then they keep on cranking, you know. John Jones, actually, perfect example, John Jones. Because he's taken big breaks too, like big breaks in his training and just had money and then comes back and still no one can beat him. But, man, I cannot wait for that Aspinall fight. The more I think about that fight, the more excited I am. And I love Tom Aspinall, but I am incapable of, like, I'm rooting for John Jones. I have to. I like that. The legacy of that dude beating every generation of champions at multiple weight classes, like I need it. Now, bringing it back to Izzy, I just got an alert that Izzy put out content of him watching the fight back. So I want to hurry and get through this interview, and then we're going to go ahead and look at that. So let's finish this interview, and then we'll go look at the footage of Izzy watching his own fight.
Your legacy is cemented in the middleweight division. It always will be. It feels a little silly at this moment to ask you a question like this, but I have to ask where your head's at right now. What is next for you?
I don't know. I'll have to chill and then think about things. I'll relax first for a little bit, just help the teammates who have fights coming up, and see what I want to do. I was going to do that anyway, but, you know.
Okay, I'll tell you what he should do. He should bulk up. He should have the UFC give him a favorable matchup at 205 so he can win one fight. One fight. Favorable matchup at 205, one fight. And then he fights against Alex Pereira for the title. Okay? That's exactly what he should do. There's no question about that. That is 100% what he should do, bottom line. All right, let's continue watching this.
Shout out to Nasruddin for that.
And just your thoughts on his rise, his performance, and a win like this, what it does for his career, because you've been in this position before, you've done this to others when you put yourself in his.
What a stupid question. I don't even want to hear what he says to that because that's such a dumb question. All right, so now we're going to watch Izzy actually watching some of the footage back from the fight, and I actually have not seen this yet, so let's watch it together.
Oh,
wait, don't watch it yet.
Oh, the speed.
Don't watch it yet. Don't watch it yet. Don't watch it yet. Oh, now you can watch it.
Yeah, every time. Let me just.
Now watch it. Watch it. Watch it.
Raw. This is raw. The speed.
Imavov fighting the number 2, Adesanya.
Fuck the speed. It's so good.
From Adesanya. Chopping the legs early in round 2. Stop. Fine. You okay?
Because he already just rested from the thing.
Straight at him.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, fair game.
That's why I root for him, dude. That's one of the many reasons that I root for him. You know, no excuses. They said it was the best camp he's ever had, that he was the best he's ever been. He watches the knockout. It's still fresh. This happened, a couple hours ago? And he just goes, man, fair play. I got caught. Great job. These good people, dude.
Fair game. Fuck. Niggas doing the fucking stripper splits.
I'm still alive.
What a moment in the career.
Oh, yeah, Pops. Seconds. Oh, that's how the game goes.
See, this is what I'm. Let me just comment on that, like that particular comment itself, right? It's like, oh well, I'm still alive, and you're like, that's a good, that's a good attitude to have. The thing is like, as much as I respect that, which I do, of course, but it demonstrates that thing where like it's not do or die for him anymore. It's just not. It's not do or die for him anymore. His life does not depend on his victories anymore, right? Like he has set his financial life. Financial life is your life. You know what I mean? Like you can't, even if, you have somebody who is fighting and, they've been living good for a very long time. And then they get to a place where they're like, shit, man, I only got maybe a year to 2 years left doing this, and if they've done really well, they're like, I got $600,000 saved. Like that's a lot of money when you have money coming in. Okay. 600K starts looking real scary when you have this like red line in the sand and you have no idea how you're going to continue to make any money. Do you know what I mean? So like that fear, when it enters into the equation, is paralyzing for people. And so when that is the thing they're afraid of, that and then the ultimate end of their career, it is do or die time. Like they need to win the title so that they don't end up in a situation. Obviously, and I've laid out like actually a pretty good situation versus like they're broke and the end of their career. So like when it comes to Izzy and he's got money stacked up, his financial life is secured. He's not fighting for his life the way that the other guys are. They're fighting for their lives still, So I don't know. I mean, I can just see he's an incredible fighter that I hope keeps on fighting. And I think the Alex Pereira, rubber match is big enough motivation that it can make him just forget about this part of the movie. It's like, dude, middleweight, you did middleweight, man. You've got one chapter left and it's at fucking 205. Now go get it. You know what I mean? All right. So now let's move over to Bryce Mitchell. All right, let's do this thing with Bryce Mitchell. Okay, so Bryce Mitchell said, I'm sorry I sounded insensitive. I definitely was not trying to offend anybody, but I know I did. I know that a lot of people died in the Holocaust, and that's a fact. Hitler did a lot of evil things. I think we can all agree on that. I'm definitely not a Nazi and definitely do not condone any of the evil things Hitler did. Okay, so like this, honestly, more than anything, sounds like additional explanation. It doesn't sound like he's changing his position on anything. As a matter of fact, he has not changed his position on anything. He's like, he's apologizing for sounding insensitive, which I would expect nothing less from him. I'm telling you, Bryce Mitchell's a good person, dude. Like a person who disagrees with people on a subject that they think is some kind of like, dividing line. Oh, he said this, so he's a bad guy. It's like, no, that's obviously not the case for Bryce, But so he's apologizing for sounding insensitive, and he definitely was not trying to offend anybody, which he wasn't. He knows he did, which is why he's apologizing. Said that he knows a lot of people died in the Holocaust. That's had nothing to do with what he said. He said the numbers didn't make sense. And that's a fact. He said Hitler did a lot of evil things, also a fact that he never disputed. I think we can all agree on that. I'm definitely not a Nazi and definitely do not condone any of the evil things Hitler did. Okay. So it's like, he hasn't broken his principles, like even with an apology, he hasn't broken his principles because it's not like he flipped around on anything that he said. I think as far as these like forced hostage video public apologies go, this is a really good one because, again, you're not going to convince me that he changed his opinion on something that he had that well, like structured arguments on. I mean, I'm not saying I'm aligned with him, but I'm saying like, these are not things that he just like vomited out without having looked into them. And, he has a formed opinion that's his. So like, you're not going to just flip that in 48 hours. Oh, hey, they're mad about what you said. He's like, forget it. I didn't mean any of that stuff. He's just like, he's apologizing without, hurting his credibility as far as I'm concerned, because he didn't flip-flop on any of it. Now, again, I think that particular topic is a bad one in general because, I guess it doesn't matter if you're like an anonymous person on the internet, but if you're a professional with a public profile, there's nothing to gain from, from having that opinion, and there's a lot to lose, or from sharing that opinion. People can have whatever opinions they want. And we have free speech. People can say whatever they want. Bryce Mitchell can say whatever he wants. People who disagree with him can say whatever they want. I even allow, in my kind of way of looking at the world, these people can go out and they can try to convince people that drag queen story hour is a great idea. Here's why, guys. This is why I completely disagree with you. And I mean, like, I couldn't more fervently disagree, but you have to stay consistent. If I want the right to say this, then they have to have the right to say that idiotic nonsense. Bunch of childless people talking about what's best for your kid while being, okay, anyway, sorry. You get the point, though. I'll defend their right to say it, just like I defend Bryce's right to say it. If you want to convince him otherwise, set up some time to talk about it, fucking convince him otherwise. I really don't see how it's a super big deal whether people believe the specific numbers of the Holocaust. It's like, I don't know. Anyway, it's neither here nor there, but that's his apology, and hopefully we'll have him on later in the week. That is what I've got for this video. I love you guys. Subscribe to the channel. Ring the bell. Bye-bye.